and welcome to DeFiChain's Fireside Chat. I'm stoked to be here today, the first episode in 2024, and I brought a truly exciting guest. Before we start into the interview, maybe don't forget to leave us a like or click the bell icon that you don't forget or you don't miss any of the further shows here anymore. Today's guest is not so well known yet in the DeFi chain, but he's an outstanding personality, and the title I think says it all: Master of Elements from Supply Chain to DeFi Chain, a symphony of expertise and passion. There is so much that we can talk about, and I would say without any further ado, welcome to the DeFiChain Fireside Chat. Andreas, how are you today?
Hey, hello, Mark. Yeah, moin, as I like to say. I'm from the north of Germany, as you might hear that in my voice and my tone. Many people always recognize that. I'm doing so well, and thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to have this.
I'm really stoked that you are here today. We've never met in person. We just had a little chat before our conversation today. And guys, I can tell you, and also ladies out there, Andreas is like a bomb. He's gonna explode with a lot of stories and information. It's really exciting. Andreas, you said you're from northern Germany. Where exactly are you from?
Yeah, I was born really in the north, so in Schleswig, and then I've grown up in Kiel, the capital of Schleswig-Holstein. And that's why I'm so addicted also to the seaside, of course. I'm addicted to fishing. I love that. I have a boat there. Unfortunately, we don't have that often the time and space to do that because I live with my family, meanwhile, in Hanover or nearby. And it's still a trip to Kiel, so 4 hours or whatsoever with the car. And my children are still small, so 6 and 2 years old. So that is, why I'm not so often anymore on the coast side as I would like to be. Nevertheless, was always addicted to that. So,
what made you move to Hanover? This was business related, or you just wanted to live somewhere else? What was the reason that you left Kiel and the sea?
Yeah, so in fact, I went there also for studying, still in Kiel. So I studied business chemistry. And interestingly wise, I was the very first business chemist in complete Germany, because the professor, who's meanwhile, I think he's not alive anymore even. So he invented this new study related to a business engineer. And he's saying, okay, let's combine a business related to the scientific researchers. So that was why he said, okay, a business chemist, that makes sense. And I was still studying chemistry at this time. And when I was in the main part of the studying, this new study came out. I said, oh, this is so interesting. You can combine two different studies and have one final degree in the end. But nobody did that beforehand, so I couldn't ask anyone. So I was like kind of a guinea pig between the two different parties of business and chemistry. However, it went well, luckily wise. And when I was finished, then applied for a job, and I couldn't find any of these descriptions in the job pilot or so, because I was the first one, right? So I wasn't a chemist, I wasn't a businessman. So I applied myself. I would say that
how was it
the
called
application. Initiative application would say.
So you reached out to companies actually and said, hey guys, I'm here, do you want me? Okay.
And the funny thing was, it really hit the roads, because I was applying just 10 times and I have 8 invitations. And in final end, I went to Bayersdorf in Hamburg. And it was great, Bayersdorf making Nivea cream and all these big brands, right? And that was good for me, because I was from Kiel, now working in Hamburg, nice city, not so far from home. That's the very first step, And during that time, I've later on met also my wife, but she lived in Hanover nearby that days. So after 7.5 years in Hamburg, in various jobs within Bayersdorf, from research to purchasing to supply chain in the end. Then I've left that and I went to Düsseldorf first, and I thought to go together with her to Düsseldorf. But that didn't turn out so well, right? The job was cool, but the whole setup was not mine. Maybe because I'm a coast child, could be, and Düsseldorf is somehow a little bit different kind of style of people. So I went back then after 3 more years and then to Hanover nearby. So, that was the last position in a concern, must say, working as a global supply chain director for a huge company there, international activity. And we come to that a little later, I would say, what I did after that. But that's the reason, long story short, why I'm now here in Hanover. It was for love.
Okay.
Let's
Yeah, see,
say that.
that's a good reason to go there. Okay, and you love it. You still like it there, and you're gonna stay there.
Yeah, of course, as my daughter is now in school.
Okay.
So we will stay here. It's so nice. We're not in Hanover. We are somehow a little outside in the countryside, and I love that. We have
Okay.
here also
Cool.
some hills. Yeah, hills from my perspective as a coast child, but maybe not from the Austrian
Not
people.
not
They would
not
say,
for not for the
where are the hills?"
Tyroleans, right? Cool. I've
Yeah,
I've never
yeah.
been in Hanover, so this is I've been to Hamburg and I've been to other places in Germany, but Hanover is that's why I'm very interested in. I've never been in that area. Cool. Hey, so you said, okay, so you kind of had to create your own job because that was a pretty new thing. Chemistry. I mean, I like
Yeah,
chemistry in school. It was kind of interesting, especially when the chemistry professor was blowing up some stuff, or the experiments were pretty cool. But
yeah, genau.
what made you study chemistry? It's for sure super interesting and very helpful, but you're the only one I know that studied chemistry. Everybody else wanted to become a teacher or a lawyer or whatever, but nobody of my friends became a chemist. Where's
Yeah.
the passion? Family related, or what happened?
My father always liked to say that because my grandfather was a pharmacist, has his own pharmacy.
Okay,
Maybe that's kind of in the genes, but I would say it was still is always the interest to get to understand things, why they are as they are. And
okay.
always imagined myself when I once have children, they ask me something like, "Hey, why is the rainbow that color?" Or what happens when I put my bicycle in the rain? Why does that rusty and stuff? I don't know. I wanted to explain that, and that's maybe my initial driven saying, "Okay, I want to understand." So chemistry, it's all about chemistry. In fact, chemistry and biological things. That's like the world, and yeah, that was the reason most likely. And I love that. By the way, I'm not good in math. Of course, yeah, a little, but not that good. And physics, I don't like at all. So it's really interesting saying that it's really about the chemistry thing.
Okay.
Funny,
That's
I don't know.
it,
That
it,
was
it's a pretty useful thing, right? I mean, like I said, a lot of the things out there's chemistry involved, right? So
it
it
is.
makes
Yeah.
sense. And when the kids come and say, "Daddy, why is it like this?" and I say, "Huh? We learned
Yeah.
it." Yeah, cool.
We learned. Yeah. Yeah. That was fun.
Awesome. So for your first job and supply chains, and what happened then?
So well, that was another thing, like a red thread through my whole
Yeah.
career. I was always in a position doing the thing for the first time ever. So that was
Mm-hmm.
really funny. As I explained with the study
Yeah.
itself, people were just laughing, said, "Oh, what are you? A business comicer? No, business chemicer." Ah, that's funny. So that was that. And then I started my first career also in a very new founded department called
Mm-hmm.
technology scouting. And then I was saying like, we are doing everything but cosmetics, within
Mm-hmm.
a cosmetic company. That's really weird as well. But that is a reason why I came very quickly in relation to other industries as well. For example, we're having a project in cooperation with Philips these times, right? The electronic company.
Yeah.
Um, Thinking of applicators for new cosmetics in the face, or there's a shaver out there where you can put a cartridge or a sachet of cream when you raise yourself. You have parallel the cream. You can use it under the
Mm-hmm.
shower, for
Mm-hmm.
example. That was kind of an idea, and it was also kind of successful. Brought it to the market. So that was always the part of this business idea, right? Chemistry is the one thing to understand what is within the vessel, so to speak, what is within the reactor.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
then from the business point of view, okay, what can we make out of it? So a nice product, but how can we promote this product? And that was the reason why I've left after some years the whole chemistry, bench chemistry area into the purchasing area more. And that was when I've started traveling around the globe. That was as a young professional, beginning of the 30s. It was great. I mean, I was in Asia, I don't know, a dozen times something. Yeah. So in Japan, in China, in India, several times, because there usually are the suppliers for raw materials, which European brands need in their products, right? So that was the business side. And along that, I came more and more aware that the supply chain as such, so how products are delivered safely from the farm to the end product, so to speak, and all the steps in between, how is that really good orchestrated? And that was more and more my passion. That was the last job at Bayersdorf after 7.5 years working as on a completely different side of the supply chain, not the purchasing anymore, but then selling the final product to Tesco's and Walmarts, so to speak. Yeah, completely the other thing, but still supply chain. And that was when I left in Hamburg and made a global director for this pharmaceutical company in Düsseldorf where I worked in. That was a very interesting development idea. That supply chain is really thing I'm striving for. I love that. Yeah.
Okay. So
Was
now
that the original question? Probably not, but sorry, I left that a little.
No. I just wanted, because I know you told me something that you did something with blockchain then after that some time, right? And supply chain, I think, is one of these applications where blockchain really makes sense. Was this your own business, or was this part of your job for a larger corporation?
Yeah, that's also interesting. I've started in this whole crypto thing 6-7 years ago. So blockchain as such was 2017, mid 17, something I've dived into, want to understand what the technology is and what is the use case beside the cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
And always have the problem thinking of supply chain responsible people. They have an issue to transparent understand where their ingredients really come from the very beginning. Usually you have distributors in between, you have country changes, you have, depending on the industry, it can be really vast. Like imagine the automotive industry, yeah, or even your mobile industry, yeah. So industry as well. So that was the problem when the customer asked, "Hey, can you tell me where your material comes from? And are you sure that there are no child labor engaged?" No, we can't. But then we pretend and say, "Yeah, here, my distributor gave me this certificate." But he's not the producer, right? He's a distributor. Yeah, but it's confidential. No, we can't tell about. So that is still common knowledge and common business, even in DAX concerns, yeah, in huge companies like L'Oreal or Bayersdorf or everywhere, because it's nearly impossible to get this transparency. And with this problem faced every single day, having purchasing teams under my responsibility, having these questions, hey, how good do you know our source? Oh, I don't know the source at all. Oh, that's a problem because we have to have an audit. Yeah, we have to know this. All these things together brought me up to the idea, could it be combined somehow? Yeah. Could it be somehow made more transparent and tamper proofed, by the way? That's another very important thing, because it's still depending on paper, and paper can be modified. You can just copy a signature, or you just erase the date and change the date a year after, something like that. That's the regular business still. So long story short, my last position at a huge company, I've had the pitch opportunity to bring the idea of investigating the usage of blockchain for supply chain issues, and I pitched it to the board. Every 3 years, there is a kind of a management idea for newbies, for upcomer high potential people from within. They learn 3 years, and then they should work on a use case. And we, as the senior people, could suggest these use cases. And I suggested my blockchain for supply chain initiative, and it was chosen by the board, very surprisingly for me. So all of a sudden, I had 4 to 5 high potential people eager to learn more about this topic, because that's what's really funny. When I pitched it in front of the audience, I closed my call with, and if you go to my project, I make you #CryptoFit. So, and the people, Julian always like to say, wow, #CryptoFit. And so I did it the same these days. It was 2019 something. And the people, they were hooked, say, whoa, cool. I want to apply. And we had over applications for our project. In fact, we selected just 4 or 5 people. And that was when all that started to monetize somehow. The idea got more concrete, and we came across, very interestingly wise, with the university in Germany, in Berlin, was founded also 2019 autumn time, an Institute for Applied Blockchain Technology. And meeting with them, we're from the industry side, they are from the scientific side. We sat together, and out of that, they came some months later to me and said, Mr. Hofmann, we would like to found a company. Would you like to join us? Because this idea is so great. Oh, I said, that is an interesting idea. I have to ask, conflict of interest. Yeah. And I went to the board and asked that, and they say, no, you're not allowed. Because what I didn't know is that they had an issue in the past where somebody really betrayed the company by millions of this conflict of interest thing.
So they didn't want that you have your private business ongoing while working for the existing employer, okay?
Because this company would be a customer of the new one.
Okay.
And how could I separate my conflict of interest? Logic to me. So they started. Funny was, thanks to Corona, I must say, thanks to the crash and the all-in, like what we've said in the inner circle that days, 2020, my investments went quite up. That gave me the opportunity to step out of the regular employee situation in 2021. Yeah.
Okay.
And was free to do what I want. And so I went to them, said, hey guys, now I'm here. Are you still interested? They said, of course. So I became one of the 4 co-founders. Meanwhile, we buy 2 out. So we are now 2 co-founders in this company. And also funny story, when I had this thing with Julian and with Usain, 50-50, and the CTO said that, I consider myself, hey, wait, I have a 50-50 situation. And if my CTO would do this, what should I do? So now I'm here and said, hopefully we'll never have this issue like they have. But yeah, you never know. But that is how it is today, Okay. That's why we have this company, and I'm doing the CEO there.
Cool. Yeah. So now we take a sidestep, because you sound so business driven. You are kind of the serious guy, chemistry and stuff, but you have a completely different side to you. And I think I found it so surprising in some way, because all the business stories. You're a musician. You are a musician, right? You love to play several instruments. Was this something that from your childhood, or when did you start playing instruments, and what instruments are you playing actually?
So very beginning, as in Germany it's typical, you start playing the flute. Yeah.
So okay, this is what every child in elementary school has to do and annoy all the parents. Yeah.
But my elderly brother, 3 years older than me, he wanted to play piano, and so he started with piano. And of course, I was the younger one. I started to play that as well. I was the age of 6 something, so quite early for that. And my brother was interested in classical, and I was more the modern things, so boogie woogie and all these things. And that was my addiction to music. Starting with piano is always a good thing to start with, because you have both, right? You have the melody side and the rhythm side at once. So that's really a thing. And you have a nice standing for good tone and melodies. That's why I also started singing in choirs since my very beginning. Funny story, even in the elementary school, there was a scout from the very famous Kieler Knabenchor, yeah. And I remember that, my first rehearsal, so to speak, he invited all the young boys from schools every round around Kiel and to test sing. And you just have to sing notes, right? So he take the piano note, ding, na, dong, na. So you have to sing these notes.
Okay.
And in the end, selected after another, and the last man standing, that was me. So then after that, he went to my parents, said, hey, we want him to join that. And my parents would say, there were some rumors, Kieler Knabenchor, not so. Yeah. No, we don't want that. Okay. So, however, I started with singing since then. And then piano singing was not cool enough anymore. When my confirmation time in school, in church, I'm not so Christian, but I was, a Baptist and all these things.
Typical
However, I learned to play the
story.
guitar, play the guitar. Guitar is cooler, especially when you're a teenager. So guitar, keyboard, first band. And then from one band to another band to another band, and they realized, okay, this guy can sing as well. So from the background singer to the lead singer with an instrument is not so good because you cannot move around. You stick to the microphone. During these cover things, we're getting older and better. We also included AC/DC songs into our repertoire. We were a top 40 cover. And we recognize every time when we do that, the people get somehow more enthusiastic than
super
the
excited,
regular
yeah.
songs. Okay, so we put more AC/DC songs into it, more and more and more. And then someday we say, hey, we should be an AC/DC cover band in the end. And that's when we formed Razor's Edge. That was my latest and biggest project, so to speak. It was a full AC/DC cover band, very well known around Kiel. And we also played in Hamburg in the Reeperbahn.
What was the name of
the name was Razor's Edge, Razor's Edge, the very famous song from AC/DC, and that was also the name of the band.
Exactly.
Razor's Edge.
That brings back really good memories because we are about the same age, right? You're a little bit younger than me, but like we grew up with heavy metal, hard rock, like we figured out already. And AC/DC is something what I think a lot of the kids out there nowadays don't even know anymore. What was your number one band at that time? Was it AC/DC that brought out the passion, or what were the other bands that you were like really dedicated to?
Yeah, that's right. So when we were teenagers, it was important that you have a band.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
that you wear the right brand jeans.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you had to
somehow
wear the
it's like
badge kind of.
what
Yeah,
brand you are.
yeah.
Yeah, what is your sign of addiction? So, and the people came up with German things like Marius Müller, Westernhagen, or maybe very
Not cool,
exotic
not cool,
UK
not cool.
thing. Not cool. And my piano player, my piano teacher, he, as I said, he also brought up one day, said, "Hey, this is a little too difficult for you, but it's a great song. Maybe you want to give it a try." And that was Bohemian Rhapsody from Queen on the piano.
Oh, awesome song. Yeah.
It was by
I
far.
think really difficult, right?
Hey, I was by far not that level. But when he played that, I still have goosebumps thinking of that. I mean, I was so sucked into that. Said, "Wow, I need to do this." And I start this the very first introduction. And my mother from downstairs, she immediately shouted at me, "Hey, what is that? That sounds so nice."
It didn't sound like AC/DC anymore. I think she loved it much more, right?
So that is when we started.
Yeah.
And though that was the thing with the Queen. Queen was my very first band. My first CD, the teacher, gave me my first CD. At the time, I didn't even had a CD player yet. I was still tapes.
Yeah.
So that was my
cassettes, right? The tapes.
That was the live magic from Queen. So the live concert CD. And so that was when I started with the music. So that was the thing with Queen. And from that onwards, interestingly, through the bands, I was more and more involved in other bands because my bandmates, they have different taste. So we did everything, like what I said, this top 40 thing, right? So that more and more goes in that little more rock and hard rock direction. And in the end, I can say hard rock and metal is one thing I like very much, and German hip hop. So completely different.
Yeah, it's absolutely different thing. So what were your other favorite bands at that time? In the good old times, when the music was real music.
The real music. So in fact, starting with Queen, as I said, I always liked this melodic things. But even if I hear metal nowadays, I like also more the melodic metals. Not so the trash or the grunge metals. Also, it's me just that out. So that's maybe that bands. It really depends. I personally, for example, very like Pink Floyd very much, as they're so great and kind of making music was really groundbreaking. And yeah, I've went to a lot of festivals, and when you're going to festivals, you see many bands you're not aware of, but then some days you stick there and say, "Wow, who's that?" And as a knowledge child, I went to the very biggest metal festival in the world you may have heard about. That's called Wacken. Wacken is the name of the village in the middle of nowhere.
So it was
And
a
I
real
went there.
village. It's not even a city.
It's really, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It's a real village. It's like all the other village around. It's like Hochton and Itzehoe and this village is
Okay.
Wacken. It's really
And
the
somebody
name of
had the
the
idea,
village.
let's make a festival or what? Somebody said, okay, we've got an empty farmland and let's do a festival out there.
Yeah, that is over 20 years ago.
Okay.
They started that. There were two friends making music, and they just invited on a truck loader kind of stage for the first bands, and then they started there with local bands, and then it was just like thousands of people, maximum 500, 300, 500, 800, maybe 1,000, maybe less, year after year after year. And one day, and that's very funny, one day they invited, however, they got the approval, they invited the Böse Onkels, it's a German hard rock band.
Yeah, I was listening to them. I loved them when I was young, yeah. Do they still exist, actually? Böse Onkels?
Oh, yeah, there was a lot of rumors. The lead singer was caught up because he was in an accident, killing someone, then running out from police, caught back to prison, blah, blah, blah. They are still, they now reunited and they are doing things, I think so. However, what I want to say is, when they had these Böse Onkels as a headliner, that was the tipping point for Wacken, because they overreached the attendance from 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people all of a sudden to 15,000. And they say, wow, what do you all want here? We don't have space for you, but we want to listen to the Onkels. So, and that was when that picked up. And meanwhile, Wacken is 75,000 with the overcut sold-out limit, and unofficial is always over 100,000 people attending. And every big player, every big artist is there, except AC/DC and Metallica. They've never been there, but Iron Maiden several times, Rammstein was there, all the other big bands, and also the last show from Motorhead, by the way. That was also quite, I still remember that. We were there in front of the stage, and Lemmy came out, starting this machinery, and after first or second song, he interrupted and went back to stage, saying, what is that? And then the organizer comes out and said, hey guys, he's not doing well. He has to go to the hospital, somehow collapsed somehow on stage. And I think half a year later, he was dead. So that was really shocking for the whole,
for the whole hard rock scene, yeah. Crazy.
For the whole hard rock scene.
So that means you've seen Ozzy Osbourne there for sure. You've seen Kiss was there, I think. Iron Maiden was there. So all the big names from that time. Are you still going to the festival? The festival is still ongoing, right? I mean, it's
still ongoing. However, my family has priority. my wife always liked to say, when my kids were even younger, said, "Hey, no, it's not okay when you go for 4 days or even longer out. Yeah, leave me here alone." So no, that's why I skipped some years.
Okay,
that doesn't mean I'll never go back. Funnily, I have a second child as a son, so I always make fun of that, saying, "Hey, in 16 years, there's someone more."
In 16 years, if heavy metal and hard rock then still exists, right? So I think if I would go to Wacken, I wouldn't know a single band most likely anymore, because the good old ones that we grew up with, they're most likely all gone, right?
I'll tell you. I mean, Accept, right?
Yeah,
so
of course,
this band,
that was my favorite band when I was in school. Yeah, Balls to the Wall and all this stuff, right?
They exactly they played there twice, so it was great show. Yeah, I mean, everybody is there still. The old bands, let's say, they are more coming in the headliners, but then new bands like Volbeat, also, for example, or other bands, they really come up and get sucked into that. So metal is always addicting the people, I think, and it's the most peaceful festival in the world.
That's what I always found. I was really so impressed by that, because you see all these kind of hardcore kind of guys, and they look a little bit rough, right? But I've never seen any issue or there are no fights. People are lovely at these festivals. At least that's how I experienced that.
It
It's
is that
like
way. Yeah.
I want
It's exactly that.
once I drove to Prague to see Kiss, and it
Oh yeah.
was Kiss live for me was always the absolute highlights. They are just outstanding with all that. It was one of the shows where they tried to do without makeup, right, and it wasn't the right thing, and then I think they came back
Oh,
with
yeah,
makeup
really?
again. Yeah, yeah.
They tried it? Okay.
Yeah.
Funny, because the makeup is
Yeah,
their
it's
brand,
parts, right? But they
part of
said,
the brand.
I think it was ruining their skin completely, right? Because they were always wearing this super heavy
Got it.
paint. No, they tried once and then they came back. That Kiss was awesome. Yeah, fantastic. What about your band? Are you still playing, or is this now? Are you still coming together
Unfortunately,
with your friends and say, "Come on, we do a revival concert or something like this"? Or
uh, you know, a band is like a relationship with 5 people, and it's really not easy. And that's also the reason why we separated. Unfortunately, on the hype of the peak of our career,
okay,
even with the small television gigs and things. So, but as the people develop differently, and so was our interest. Yeah, that is really the sad side of the story, because
so it really fell
I missed
apart,
this.
right? You really separated and said, "We don't want to do
Yeah,
it anymore." Okay, okay, okay.
there were people once a reunion somehow, but yeah, it was not never the same, and that was why. So I still remember that very nice time, but once you have played maybe on such kind of level, you are not also willing just to do something else. You just say, then better don't do that at all anymore. Maybe you just get disappointed. So that's why I'm getting more and more on the fan side and not on the active stage
Okay.
side anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Naja, things move on, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a shame, right, that it falls apart sometimes. If the success, I
Yeah.
think we see this in so many times in business as well, right? Or friendships or relationships. If things become too successful or too much money is involved, and I think it's also a reason why a lot of relationships fall apart, like married couples, right? There's money, and then hey, things look different, and yeah, complicated.
Yeah.
Cool. I find that super interesting, the whole music thing, and it brings back so many good memories because I don't talking
What
about
was
that.
your famous band then these days, Mark?
So I nowadays at these days I think I was
These days,
yeah,
the
at
old
least,
days,
yeah,
good old days.
the good old days. I had like this army kind of coat and this army kind of bag when I was going to school, and I had these badges on it, and there were of course Kiss badges on it,
Yeah.
Kiss, Accept, and then it started with Metallica. But so I really started with Kiss and Accept. I never got into Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden was very popular amongst my friends, but I was
Yeah, isn't
more
that funny? I mean, you listen to this music, this is great music, but I got there very late, maybe due to Eddie, due to this mascot. I don't know.
yeah.
Always looked so.
Yeah, I mean the artwork of the long of the LPs, right, of the records was
Yeah, yeah,
always completely outstanding, and it's very melodic and stuff. Then I was also
yeah.
listening to some German rock. Some people might laugh now. Doro Pesch, she was super
Yeah, yeah.
pretty and
I
hot
met
at that
her.
time, right?
I met her, twice in Wacken. Yeah, yeah.
She was like kind of a wet dream for
Still there.
all the German hard rock fans. She
Yeah.
was like absolutely outstanding. Then there was a cool band called Marillion. I don't know if you remember them. It
No, I
was
don't know them. No.
okay. I have to send you a link. It really was like
Oh, yes, please.
was
Yeah.
very soft rockish, kind of very melodic. No, really good memories. And at that time, MTV became popular, and I remember when I was sitting with my friends in front of MTV and watching Beavis and Butthead and all these hardcore music clips. This was really the beginning of the music scene on TV at that time, and it was all
Yeah.
a lot of hard rock. But you said German hip hop. That's interesting. I like
Yeah.
German hip hop. Even I'm not very knowledgeable when it comes to these things, but yeah, there are the common ones
Yeah.
like Sido and Savage and Bushido
Yeah,
and all
but you
that
know what?
stuff.
I
And
mean, there was also like what you say in the hard rock area. There was these older times, like everything was starting with the Fantastischen Vier at the very
yeah, okay, yeah,
beginning,
that, yeah,
and then you have Blumentopf or you have Deichkind or Fettes Brot and all these old things more from the German part. That was my time. Then this rock thing came in, and now these things with the ones you just mentioned, I'm not in that anymore. So I'm still looking for these, because I thought these old texts, they were more clever, they were more intellectual, interesting.
Today's a little bit more gangster and drugs and right.
This is
but I caught myself recently. I was like went on Spotify and German hip hop because I wanted some new music kind of, and these are the names that come up. There's no Fettes Brot anymore and Deichkind. This is the good old German. Hey, cool. Okay, awesome. Let us go back. Let us go back to crypto. As a crypto show, actually, we talk about music. People are gonna say, "What are these dudes talking about? These two old farts talking about bands that I've never heard about." Okay, we had supply chain, we had blockchain, we had crypto. So, quick, you got into crypto. How did you get into crypto? And then what I really want to know, how did you get into DeFiChain? Because that's what connects all here at the end.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with the financial markets since 20 years or so.
Okay.
Started in my study time. I still remember when you wanted to buy a share of something, it was like, it was even before the internet, So really like the ticker under the NTV. So music, and not music, this is broadcasting channel or news channel. And I've called the Deutsche Bank to get an appointment there, to go there, to prove that I know what I'm going to do, and then somebody has to give me the approval, and then they buy a share for me.
Okay.
So imagine that today. Yeah. I mean, and they only have a certain limit of shares they allow you to buy due to the risk ranking.
Okay.
And that was kind of when Infineon started. I remember that. I wanted to get these Infineon shares, and that was out of my rank. So I wasn't allowed. And then I don't know how I did it, but I had convinced someday this banker, say, "Hey, please, it's my own risk, and I'm an adult. I'm studying. I'm already 20 years old. So please, it's my money." Funny, because that is nowadays really not imaginable anymore. How complex that was. So starting with this addiction to shares, stock markets, and so on over time. I also got aware when Bitcoin, for example, first time hit the 1,000. That was the first time I remember that. I saw this ticker and I thought, of course, it's a scam. Yeah, like everybody says. And these poor bastards, they are scams. So, and then 2,000, 3,000, and that was the thing when many people got aware of the first time, and so was I. And and then that was 17, right? So, and then I started the first. And the interesting was also this year, I came across Julian and other influencers in that time. And I got hooked by him, by his not even pushing on the crypto side, but also pushing on the mental side, on the self-development side, on this, how can I improve myself in every field, including financial intelligence. But on top to that, like conditions like health, reaching goals, And I must really say, he is the only younger person than me, and he is a little younger than me, I know this, to whom I look up. Because he has such a knowledge in so many areas and is always striving for more knowledge. And I think his worth ideals are somehow overlapping to mine quite well. So that's why I think this is a good guy. He has his senses in order. Yeah. So that is why I was following him. And when he started the Inner Circle initiative, I think 2 months later, I joined. In the near future now, I think in 1 month, I turned the 4th year also, the platinum membership. And that was a luck for me because I've joined the Inner Circle 10 days before Corona stock crash dipped in. And if I would have not been in the Inner Circle, for sure, I would have panicked like everyone else. But here there was such a mindset saying, hey, this is an unrealistic crash. It will recover, especially with all this money printing around the corner. So let's go all in. And that is when I've sold I have some flats, some smaller flats in other cities. So I've sold them recent before and other stuff. And I really dived into a huge chunk of my portfolio into the cryptos, but also into famous Magic 7 stocks. I remember I think we got Tesla for $74, and that was before the splits.
Okay.
So you imagine that, yeah. So it's not like Frank Thelen in my case, but nevertheless, it was a good trade, and thanks to the inner circle, yeah. And that was when I got up, and since then I'm there, And as you're also an inner circle member, we are more or less daily, or at least every second day, somehow in this topic, and you cannot even prevent not getting informed, because there is so much information out there. So was the DeFiChain thing as well. So that is why I'm so, from the intellectual properties for financials, I would say we are a little above average something, and I'm still interested in learning. And yeah, that was how I got into.
You've been in DeFiChain from the very beginning, really.
Yes,
from the early
from the
start,
very,
right?
very beginning. I even remember when Julian said that, hey, we're going to found a company, Cake, and we want to do this. First even we found a new blockchain, this DeFi chain, and you couldn't even get the token. It was just an idea. And then there was Cake, and on Cake you could have used the very first offer was this lending thing, where
Bitcoin,
you
right?
Get interests on your cryptos very first time. So I put some of my Bitcoin and Ethereum stacks on the platform, knowing high risk, but somehow trusting that Julian is walk the talk, like one say, and he will deliver. This team will deliver, and that was the thing when there was this first pre-selling of DeFiChain or DeFi token, and it was at 10 cents or so, something. I think that was the very first price, half of the original first ticker. So it was like a pre-discount. Plus there was this airdrop of people who got into the system with the lending options. And as a thank, they got a one DFI for every hosted dollar there. So that got another nice chunk on top to me. So that was why I am from the very beginning on there, and it took all this ramp up. Yeah, and that was also giving me then a major part of my financial independency, so to speak.
Okay.
This way up there.
Cool.
Yeah.
And you stayed, and that's quite a long time. And we had amazing times, and we had less amazing times. I mean, DeFiChain developed over time dramatically, right? So many new products came. Like I said at the beginning, there wasn't even a token, and there wasn't even a really product. We started with staking, and then the D token came, and you, as a guy who was investing in stocks already, was this a further point of interest on DeFiChain? I mean, besides that you trusted in the whole team behind, but then the D token came. Did you like the idea from the beginning, or did you say that's a gimmick, we don't need this? How was your feeling when the D token story came actually alive on DeFiChain?
I think I understood from the very beginning the potential here, because as you said, it was so hard to get stocks in the real world. You have to ask people, you have to get approved, and here you can manage that all yourself. And that was something which really convinced me from the very beginning. And I still remember every token which was onboarded, I was in the LM pool for every single. After, I don't know, a dozen or 2 dozens, I stopped, because then I said, okay, now it gets a little crowded. Nevertheless, I'm still deep into that. And what I lately understood is also not only the opportunity that you have, the independency you can use yourself, you're your own boss, but also tax-wise, this advantage of not have to pay tax after a year of hold in Germany, must say, yeah. When you sell your D coins, for example, or something else you have in your portfolio, if you compare the Coinbase stocks which I have on other providers in the outside world, where when you have gains, you have to pay the tax, right? 25% here and some percent here and. So that is something I understood very lately, to be honest. And I'm a little angry with myself because why wouldn't I have set up such a big chunk in the outside world on, for example, MicroStrategy or Coinbase, and not only on the decrypto side, on the D token side, because like other colleagues here of the inner circle, they're promoting that, and they are so true. Because yeah, you hold them, and after 1 year, if you sell them with the gains are all yours. So that is something you always learn, lifetime learning. So that's now I'm building that up more proactive, especially in our DUSD activities, gaining DUSDs and swapping them into some nice coins and putting them into the liquidity mining helps me to build that up, like in the long run, more and more.
Now you've been super active not only in the inner circle but in the DeFiChain community. Sometimes I've met you just recently, right? So you were kind of a guy who were a bit more in the background and like pulling some strings, and you have for sure substantial investment in DeFiChain. That you even said it, right? Since a very long time you invested and you never left. Now, a lot of people left DeFiChain because they got frustrated, or they kind of, the price didn't go that way that they wanted it. You are still here, and you also involved yourself even more because you're one of the new, I don't want to say new kids on the block, but you're one of the guys who really stepped out and said, guys, let's do something, right? And you found a couple of guys who have a similar mindset, like Thomas and Robert, and you said, guys, we have to do something. Let's talk a little bit about that initiative, because I think that was very outstanding. I wasn't involved from the very beginning. This was really you guys. In German, we would say you have this Ausbaldowert. You kind of came up with that idea. And then I've suddenly heard there's an Operation Repack ongoing. There is a team who takes matters in their own hands. They're not sitting there and waiting and say, Julian, you have to fix it. We say, we are all DeFiChain. We have to fix it. And I love this idea. And that's when I got involved. Tell me a little bit how this came across and what is the idea and why do you do this and why do you believe in it? I think there are a lot of people who know the story, but many also don't know it. And I think it's really important to see that there are really smart people behind that whole operation.
Yeah. Well, I don't lay that out in the full length like I did recently on another call with Balthazar. Because it's maybe there's an own video about that out there. However, to touch that also for maybe people who haven't heard it yet, that was all triggered by the decision from Usain to step out of the Bake company and crashing the course, the prices of both, of DeFi, DFI, and of USD. And I thought at that point, like the same with the Corona thing, like now the price is so undervalued, so that this is not reasonable for me. Maybe here's another opportunity from a trader point of view to get some nice upside with a very low downside risk, because I was never ever a single moment had the idea that this whole thing will stop. Never. Why should it? I mean, I know all the back information of the people more than the regular investor outside, that's for sure, because I know you people and all the developers. No, Julian, this is going to stay here. So the question is, what is the value? And for sure, the value was not 9 cents for $1 stablecoin idea. Yeah. So that was when I started to constantly buy parts of the DUSD back with other cryptos first. Yeah. Step by step. And I don't know exactly why I started posting about it in the inner circle. So, hey, I did this. And I said, okay, yeah, nice. Okay. Tomorrow again. Again. And someday, then other people, funny, Thomas, independent from myself, he had this idea already in October. Somehow wanted to do such a kind of an initiative. It didn't came through whatsoever. But I think when he saw what I'm doing, he was also immediately hooked, said, wow, here's another one. Like what I wanted to do. So we touched base together and we talked about, hey, could we do this? Could we organize this somehow? Could we orchestrate this somehow? Then people like Robert came in, Silverback, saying, hey, guys, what you're doing is great. I would support. And that is how the whole thing got more and more speed, accelerated. And the initial idea was making the DUSD great again brings back trust in the whole ecosystem, showing that from first time ever, algo stablecoin or semi-algo, stablecoin, which got down to 9 cents, is not dead, but will rise up again. That is such a high potential. Nobody did this before. And the idea would really, if we reach this goal, that brings so much trust back into the ecosystem, which is working very well since ever. No matter what crash was there, the blockchain is delivering every single day. Every product out there is usable. Now more is on the EVM, on the meta chain level. I mean, you know that better than me, yeah? With your company. Everything is delivering there. So what does that mean to the value? Yeah, it's a low-brainer. The value goes up. Now it's only a question, when does the price shows that?
Exactly.
So that's why I'm still so enthusiastic about it.
No, I find the initiative absolutely amazing, because I think the community was like at the all-time low. Everybody was like really so frustrated with the big last crash that we've seen, when Yusin kind of stepped out or said he doesn't want to do it anymore. And then that some people said, okay, now we do it. We've got enough. And it started this amazing movement. And I was I was planning to be on vacation. It was over Christmas, New Year. And it was like this firework of tweets and information and calls and let's do something. And it was cool to see, and I think it made a big turnaround in the community, because a lot of people saw, hey, I'm not the only believer anymore. There are more out there, and there are bigger players, and they want to do something, and not only want to whine and bitch and cry. So let's fucking go to work. Excuse my French,
yes.
But like really, let's do it and take our own faith in our own hands, right? And that's why I really want to thank you. I think this was a super cool move. And we haven't reached the pack yet. I think this is very important to say. I mean, I think most people know that. But there's more to come. And we're not going to stop before the success is reached, I would say, right? What's the plan, Andreas?
And you know what? And you know what, Mark? Another thing, very recent. I mean, you know what happened now after the Bitcoin ETF and all the grayscale drama, right? What at the moment, since 1.5 weeks, is the market under pressure. And I looked to my portfolio. I posted it, I think, yesterday. I said, hey, another nice side effect. I'm just minus what, 2%? Why is that so? Because I have so much stack meanwhile in the DUSD and not so much anymore in others, that the effect of this downturn of the course or price of others doesn't affect me so that much anymore. Right? Mm-hmm. It's really interesting. Nice side effect. So
but we are not there yet, right? We still have the upside that you say. I mean,
and that comes on top. Exactly. We still have the upside. I mean, even if it's not a 10x anymore, but it's still more than 100% to go there. And meanwhile, with all this commitment, it is more a question when, not if. It's just a question when. And what we also see, even though there's pressure from the market, we remain on these 42, 43, 45 cent since weeks meanwhile. I mean, that is so impressive to us. even the people who are maybe still afraid and said, "Oh, I want to step out very quickly before it goes to zero again," I think they are more or less out.
Yeah,
And so
I think
the
they've been
money on
washed.
the
They've been
weekends
really
went over.
washed out. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, and meanwhile, it's held by the believers, or the diamond hands, as you like to
The
call it.
believer. The believer
Now we
sounds
put
so
it into the
religious,
bonds.
right? I don't
Yeah.
like this religious touch. This is always like too much extremism here. But yeah, no, I fully agree. The
Yeah.
people who trust in the project and
Yeah.
the trust in the opportunity. And that was also one of the reasons why we said we want to build Jeffsphere, right? Because we wanted to support that. And when you guys started, we said, okay, we have to bring the user interface for the bonds. The bonds just started
Yeah.
yesterday. Under 12 hours, we're already $1.5 million locked up in the bonds. So we see this is getting traction, and we said, great initiative. We need tools. Let's provide tools, and I think that's why everything came together really nicely. But we are not
And
there
very
yet.
big credits, Mark. Very big credits to you and your
Yeah.
team.
Yeah,
You
very
know, I have
welcome.
my own software company, right, for the supply chain tracking. Like, and I know how difficult it is to program the software. What you do with your people in such a short time, hey, this is really outstanding.
Yeah, full credit to
That's
Igor and
absolutely,
our developers. I mean,
that's what I mean. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, we talked in Munich about it, right? So I met the people there. So we sat together, so straightforward, such a smart, clever, and lean team, bringing out so much traction. That is a bright future.
Thank you. Thanks a
So
lot. That's
really,
good. That's good to hear. But we had help, right? We have a fantastic advisor team. We have the community behind us, who gave us a lot of good feedback. I think we had a good market fit for what was needed. So, and we've done kind of a lot of. I mean, we're working on this for a year, right? So what shows now is a little bit like the iceberg swimming in the ocean, right? So we've done a lot of groundwork, but thanks a lot. It's of course very
yeah.
appreciated to hear something like
I
this.
mean,
Yeah.
but even with all these prerequisites, what you said, you have to orchestrate this. And that is, if that would be easy, everybody would have done that before, but nobody did. So now you together, you do it in a very suitable way.
Yeah, and now we're gonna
So,
all help to
and
bring
with
this.
chilling now.
Yeah, and now we are all and now we are all bringing that thing back on track, right? And
Right,
I think it's really important that we all look forward, right? We know
right.
it's really interesting. There are two kind of people, right? Or maybe even more, but there's a group that is always very complaining about everything and not doing anything, and then there are people, they know it's shit, maybe, right? It's not that we are completely disillusional and all complete retards and we don't know, because sometimes from the haters we hear, they're so stupid, they don't know a stable coin has to be $1, it's not $1. We all know that, right? It's not we are not dumb, but we have a long-term plan and we're gonna make it work. I think that's a big thing, and that's why we resonate very well, because you said, hey,
Right.
screw that shit, we make it happen, and not like, oh, it's so bad, I'm gonna leave and I'm gonna go somewhere else and I blame these people. And that's what I love. More to come,
Yeah.
Andreas. I think more to come. I don't know. Is there something planned? Is there something planned, but you don't want to talk about it because it's kind of Operation Repack Part 2 or ongoing? Where are
Yeah.
we? Just give us a little bit of output. If you think it's not productive to say too much, then don't say too much. Like, but
Yeah.
maybe there's something what you want to talk about the Repack story.
Yeah.
For the near
So of
future.
course we are. Meanwhile, we have even formed a repack steering committee. Funny.
Ah, okay, I didn't know that.
So
Okay, cool.
yeah. To make that really even more organized.
Okay,
Very interesting. We recently also started a second channel in the DFI pump direction.
okay.
So not only the DUSD repack idea, but of course also how to support the DFI. There's a lot of concrete interest. Interesting wise, the people sometimes also are in the different areas active. Some believe more on the DUSD, some believe more on the DFI. Yeah. Doesn't mean that everybody is always in the same matters.
Okay.
But it is still the DeFi chain ecosystem. So that is the good thing. So And I also have chats with Julian here and there, not so often as you, of course. However, he's involved. This is what he said also in Munich. He is involved, right? And what that means, I leave it up to you to think about what it means when he says that, that he is also involved and as he's also backing this activity here. So what we are now going to do is we do more in the outside communication, not too much in the inner circle because we're doing that anyways, but now coordinating the communication streams and aligning them outside in the social media about the achievement, about the potential. And we've seen already the first small fruits coming back from the idea, make the DUSD great again, the trust comes back. We see already the first people saying, hey, I want to invest more in DFI now. Can I start or should I wait? Funny. There were really huge players now saying, hey, I think it is a good time to buy this DFI for such a low price because I know there's things going on to make this better. And that's exactly what we wanted. And now it is really a self-momentum and it will get better then, right?
Yeah. And we see a lot of people also that haven't been on Twitter, let's say a year ago. There's kind of a new generation. There's still some of the OGs, but also a couple of people parted ways and left us. But there are a lot of new people, like new names, that are really kind of active and supportive and great new ideas. OGs and new ones. And I think the community was transformed over the last couple of months completely. The DeFiers are really strong again, and it's good to see, right? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yo, so much more to come. Hey, we covered quite a lot today. It's a real pleasure to have you here. A lot of surprises in our little pre-talk that we had with all the music and stuff. I know, guys and girls out there, we got carried away a little bit in the good old memories about Lenny being on stage with his very crazy voice, right? And all these things. But yeah, this is also part. I think crypto and blockchain doesn't have to be boring, Andreas, right? I think you agree on that. It's an important part of our life, but there are so many other fantastic things out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And, these long life learning, I think that's very important also to look outside your regular interests. I mean, we haven't touched other topics today, right? So that, for example,
there would be so much more to talk, right?
Making music, but we also, we founded a music label, right? Very interesting, absolutely new industry for me 2 years ago.
Crazy.
Richard Branson is kind of an ideal for me as well, right? So like he is such a chameleon and stepping into all his businesses, most likely by coincidence, and then he just says, okay, let's do it. And that's exactly my motto also, to say, hey, if there's an opportunity, will you capture it or will you let it slip? And I like to capture. And that's also why I followed your invitation for this call today as an opportunity. Will I let it slip or will I capture it and give the people what they may demand it for, saying, hey, we want to see a little more from Andreas. Okay, now you got this. Hope you liked it. And thanks for the time, Lord Mark. It was a pleasure to be.
Andreas, thanks. I'm really happy that you came on. I wasn't sure that you would join. We were kind of, I was teasing. I've got a really interesting guest for a couple of weeks already. Some people, they don't want to become public. Some people, they like to do their stuff. They hide behind an avatar, or they. Yeah, for some reason, I don't want to sound judgmental here, right? So everybody's got the reason, but I like to see somebody, and I was really happy to say, of course, Mark, let's do that. I come on, let's have a nice coffee talk, drink some chamomile tea here. That we are getting older.
Some vodka in the morning, of course.
Yeah. If it would have been vodka, it was the vodka like 30 years ago when we went to rock concerts. Now we drink water and chamomile tea. Guys, I hope you had a great time with Andreas and the stories that we touched base on today. Operation Readback is going strong. Follow him on Twitter. We're going to link your Twitter account if you have one on...
you know what? I'm so old school. I am more active on LinkedIn, in fact. Yeah, because I'm more from the business side.
Okay, so we're gonna put Andreas' information that he wants to publish publicly in the show notes, and that you can follow him. And I'm sure we're gonna see more from you in the near future, Andreas.
Right.
Very positive.
Thank
Thanks
you.
again for coming on. And yeah, we're gonna stay in touch. Anyway,
Thank you very
guys
much.
and girls, leave a like for Andreas. I think he did a great job. He sounds like a pro. Even I think you haven't done a lot of YouTube videos in your past, but it's like you've done 100. Absolutely great to have you on the show today.
Thank you.
Andreas,
Have a great day.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
All the best to you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye to everyone out there. See you next time. Have a good day. Bye-bye.